the keynote speech of this theme. So it is a fact that we think about the Earth normally as we got the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the biosphere, the atmosphere, but actually we need to think about the Earth system, and now we are realizing about the effects and the impacts we, human beings, are having on the whole system. For many years, the oceans, in our case, the oceans were thought like, well, they were immense, they were inexhaustible, they were impervious to the effects of our activities. And now we are having indications that is not such. So we have to look at the whole picture, and we have to consider the effects of what we do on the Earth system. As for the capacity development, we always say it's a cross-cutting activity. And we know that in order to realize the Sustainable Development Goals, we go through policy, and for that we need the proper assessment. And to have a proper and well-informed assessment, we need science, and that science will build upon observations. And when we think in terms of capacity development, we are thinking in capacity development in all these dimensions. As a matter of fact, this is a quite simple cartoon. So from data, we produce information. And with data and information, we create knowledge, we produce knowledge. And only through knowledge, we can inform decision makers. So in a way, science for sustainability is based on what we can call the knowledge triangle. So we have innovation and technology. But innovation and technology has a direct relationship with marine scientific research. New innovations help develop new marine scientific research. Questions from the marine scientific research domain trigger developments in technology and innovation. But the third aspect of this triangle is capacity development and education. So we need to put all this together. We need to consider everything. And this is an old discussion, perhaps, for some of us, capacity development or capacity building. So we rather prefer to talk about capacity development, because we are taking the existing strengths and capacities, while at the same time we are considering and addressing the deficits. We are developing capacities. It's not that we don't have them. Probably we have to further develop them. So I've been wise enough to use this image from a report from ISS about what is capacity development, which is very much in line with what IOC considers capacity development. So the components of this capacity development, the inputs, and there we have knowledge, we have skills, systems, structures, processes, values, resources, powers. And with all that, we can develop capacity, and this capacity needs to be developed at 3 different levels. We need to develop capacity at a societal level. We need to develop capacity at the organizational level. And of course, we need to develop capacity at the individual level. So we have to address all 3 of them. And this is not an easy task. So it's not linear, it's a complex situation. When we think about our domain, we need to develop capacity to collect data. But once we collect data, then we see, okay, but we would like to access the data. So do we have the capacity to access the data? And some people will say, okay, but I would like to have free and open access to data, and that's it. But that's not enough. because I need to develop the capacity to analyze the data, how to use the data. And once I've used it, I need to be able to synthesize it. And once I've done that, perhaps I will have to go outside my usual domain, my usual group of peers, because I will be developing applications. I will be giving solutions. And we also need to develop capacity in terms of communication and awareness. And I will mention something more in a few more slides. So you will see this figure many times, but in the end, these are the 6 basic functions of IOC as per the current medium-term strategy. So as you see, from building scientific knowledge through applying knowledge for societal benefit to improving governance, we are working with ocean research, observing systems and data management. We have services like the early warning systems, assessment and information for policy development, and sustainable management and governance. But at the center of this, at a very tenet of IOC, we have capacity development. So this is the important message here. Capacity development is at the center of all IOC functions. IOC has developed a medium-term strategy for capacity development. And this strategy, this capacity development, has to be seen in its very different dimensions. It's a multi-dimensional thing. Normally people think that capacity development is just a training course or a workshop. But when you look at this medium-term strategy, it's organized in 6 outputs. This dimension is developing human resources. That's one thing. But also having access to physical infrastructure, that's another dimension of the capacity development. Realizing and developing ocean research to inform decision makers, to get to the policies, to finally attain sustainable development. That's one of the outputs and one of these dimensions of the capacity development. Sustained long-term resource mobilization. As I said in the previous slide, visibility and awareness, communication, that's also part of this capacity development strategy and one of the dimensions we need to consider. And finally, the 6th dimension, global, regional, and sub-regional mechanisms being strengthened. And that will help us to attain what's at the center there. It's capacity development, and in our case, the transfer of marine technology. So this medium-term strategy has the 6 outputs, and it's been outlined into 13 activities and 23 actions. And so we have some good examples, some success stories. And one of them, it's intimately related to IODE. IODE has been working in capacity development since its inception. But in the early 80s, we had training activities that were ad hoc activities when someone was trying to establish a data center, for example. But as things evolved, technology evolved, IODE started thinking into different ways to streamline this capacity development efforts. So by the end of the 80s, by 1989, we started with this project, with this initiative, IODE in Africa. So we were putting together African countries. We had support from the government of Flanders, the Kingdom of Belgium, and we started developing this ocean data and information network system, and started with IODE in Africa, and started streamlining our capacity development efforts. And at that time, we're mainly focused on data and information management. But then by 1991, we had some basic software and tools that were distributed in floppy disks, and that was Ocean PC. So later, with the evolution of technology, by 1997, we started having some other contents. We started moving into HTML, and we had the resource kit, and the resource kit came in a CD. And then we moved into Ocean Teacher by 2001, and we were changing the whole concept, and you will hear more about this in this session. But we had started with Ocean Teacher, we changed the concept, we opened our minds into other domains, and we came up by 2009 to Ocean Teacher Academy, and since 2014 to Ocean Teacher Global Academy. And now it's no longer just data and information management, it's a platform that it's open to other IOC programs, and that has been used by other programs and organizations outside IOC too. So this is one of the success stories of how we have moved throughout time in terms of capacity development. Now, as for Ocean Teacher Global Academy, and our colleague Claudia Delgado will be able to explain this better than me, now we have this network of regional training centers. We have 7 active training centers and 2 candidates throughout this decade and a half. We have more than 2,500 people that has received training in about 134 member states. We have almost 5,000 registered users, and very recently, the Ocean Teacher Global Academy received the ISO Learning Services Provider certificate. So we are doing good. We're doing good in using this as a platform for self-training, for face-to-face training, for distance learning. And it's serving not only the SDG 14, but multiple sustainable development goals. But as I said, this is one of the success stories. In a recent meeting, we had this presentation from regional programs, and we got this slide. In the last 2 years, in terms of coastal area management, area-based management tools, marine spatial planning, and the work with large marine ecosystems, there have been trainings in 20 different countries and in 4 languages, more than 3,000 beneficiaries from 98 different countries. In the case of marine spatial planning, the documents available in English, French, and Spanish, and all training materials, as it happens with Ocean Teacher Global Academy, are fully available before, during, and after the training. So we are looking at a huge effort with great results. But in any case, I told you IOC had developed this capacity development strategy, and the next step was we need the implementation plan. So when thinking about the implementation plan of the strategy, the first step was to conduct a gap analysis, and that gap analysis was started from the global and regional points of view, from all IOC programs and IOC regions. So we had the first image. But the IOC Assembly decided 2 years ago to establish a group of experts on capacity development to assist into the work of the development of the implementation plan. This group had a first meeting March last year, and we found out the following. This gap analysis was considering the points of view of the global programs, regional subsidiary bodies, and there was a question: what happens with those countries or member states that are not currently part of a regional subsidiary body? What if they are within a region, but we're not able to participate in the activities of that regional subsidiary body? Are we capturing the needs and requirements in terms of capacity development? Is our gap analysis complete? So one of the decisions was to create a task team, an intersessional task team, to identify the capacity development needs of member states, IOC member states, in relation to the CD strategy. And looking in particular at small island developing states and least developed countries as well as to member states that are not included in IOC regional bodies. But there was a second question that was addressed by this group of experts. And we've been working around this idea for many years. Perhaps you know IOC has published some 15 years ago the IOC criterion guidelines for the transfer of marine technology, which included the concept of a clearinghouse mechanism for this transfer of marine technology. And this clearinghouse and this transfer of marine technology is intimately related to the capacity development. So it made sense to have the discussion within this group of experts. And we had a second task team on implementation of a clearinghouse mechanism portal and related activities. So these two task groups worked together, developed a survey. The survey was circulated last year. And now I'm going through some of the results of this survey I will be sharing with you today. Just for starters, we received something like 47 responses. On the graph in the top right, you will see that we received information from IOC Africa, from Westpac, from IOCaribe, some responses from IOC India, and a quarter of the responses came from member states that are not part of any of these regional bodies. And the survey has several questions, but what you can see on the bars on the left, when they were asked, well, can you identify the 5 most important capacity development needs in your country? And there was not one. You look at them and say, okay, it seems like everything was important. There was no one critical issue. And it went from, okay, higher education is important, advanced professional development, access to laboratories, or data access and management, or digital infrastructure, or we need support for international partnerships, or for the development of a national ocean research policy. So it seems that all the items were relevant. But I said, I'm sharing with you some of the results. Then one other question was, okay, and what would you consider as essential or very useful or not fundamental in terms of developing capacity in human resources? So from the responses, I took the top 5 from the essential and very useful categories. So in the case of the essential, the top 5 starts with training courses, workshops, and summer schools. The second response with more hits was onboard research vessel-based training. Then we had internship and fellowship programs, travel grant funds, and regional training and research centers. Those were the top 5 in the essential category. As for the very useful, the top 5 started with sharing of training materials, regional training and research centers, a closer relationship between UNESCO chairs and IOC, the development of mentoring programs, and a consortia of higher education at a country or regional level. Another question was, what do you think it's important or critical to increase visibility and awareness of ocean research in your country? And we had 41% of the responses saying communicating ocean science research to policymakers. Second was effective public communication in ocean research institutions. And third, it was IOC ocean literacy, community of practice, to have a community of practice in terms of ocean literacy. As for information portals, which were identified, some of them or several of them directly within IODE, but we got Goose, Ocean Expert, OBIS, OTGA. You've got the list. The thing was, when we asked about the decade, it was just like at the beginning, no one clear response, no one clear answer. But it seems that we had three items that got a little bit more of attention: comprehensive ocean observing systems, quantitative understanding of ocean ecosystems and their functions, and capacity development, transfer marine technology, training and education, ocean literacy. So we're running out of time. I will be rushing through the last slides. So we went into the matter of the clearinghouse mechanism. Of course, all aspects of the clearinghouse were considered important. Not one was being the most critical. But the important thing is that they all agreed that from the proposals, what they thought was what we need is a hybrid model to respond to the needs of a clearinghouse mechanism. And hopefully by March, April this year, we will have available the prototype of the clearinghouse mechanism, taking into account the IOC CD calendar, information and research vessels, document repository based on ocean docs, ocean experts, and products. Of course, this you have seen ARIS. You may think that the contents of ARIS looks like the clearinghouse mechanism, but in fact is basic information that will provide input for the clearinghouse mechanism. We need to work more in communicating with different communities among ourselves, with decision makers, and with the general public, and make them understand what's the return on investment. Because we've seen this image Vladimir showed us this morning. The ocean could be the seventh world economy with a gross marine product of 2.5 trillion US dollars, probably 3/4 of that depending on healthy oceans. But that depends on ocean literacy, and this is my last slide. Ocean literacy is about people understanding what ocean services are, how we live together with the ocean, what impact we have on the oceans, but also explaining, and that's our responsibility as community, what's the problem, for example, with riptides. Normal guy does not need to understand the coastal processes. He needs to know that this is a dangerous place, but it's for us to develop this type of information for the global or the general public, but also to have tsunami-ready communities. And for that, we need ocean literacy at all levels. And with that, Madam Chair, slightly off time. Thank you very much. And having said that, now it's my pleasure to present IODE Muslim. IODE will have now the opportunity to talk us about Ocean Teacher Global Academy. IODE.
And we've already started the presentation, by the way.
I'm too short. Okay, thank you very much, Claudia. A very good evening to everyone. Hopefully everyone had a good lunch. I surely did. Okay, so my presentation today will be on the Ocean Teacher Global Academy. So before I start, I would like to thank Ariel for basically presenting some of my slides. So I don't need to elaborate too much on certain parts. I think you've all seen these slides. And I think it was explained in a very good, I can't explain better on, because I think Ariel knows the history better than me. Okay, so I won't go through this one. So my next slide, I'll start talking about in and year 2000. I think I'm older by year 2000. I can explain better. So I think the Ocean Teacher Project basically got a very good impetus when the IODE office was established in Ostende. You know, the government of Flanders offered to host the office there, and by having a permanent office, a lot of the training courses could be held. You know, you have a permanent location with all the facilities required to have training courses. So starting from 2005, a lot of, I think if I'm not mistaken, every year Ostend hosted 6 to 8 training courses every year. But of course, it's not ideal. The training courses were based on projects and so on. So you don't have a continuous funding. So, but in 2009, the Ocean Teacher Academy was established with yearly funding from the Flanders government. So by having continuous funding, IODE was able to hold the courses more professionally, you know, so you can plan ahead. You have, so what they did is they looked at the user requirements from all the regions and established a training plan. Okay, so that's, I think it's very important. You know, if you don't have a fixed budget, it's hard to work. You have one training course, you cannot have it next year and so on. So by having a continuous budget, I think that helps a lot, and it helped the Ocean Teacher Program to move forward. Okay, but in 2014, an audit was conducted to really look at the program. You know, the Ocean Teacher Program has been running for about 4 or 5 years, and it was established that there are certain needs that, you know, how do you improve the program? You know, it's been doing very well, but how do you improve? So among the findings was we need to train more students from each country. Okay, the training was held in Europe. You know, it's far away. You have to come from Malaysia, like where I'm from, it takes a while, and so on. Okay, we need to reduce the travel time of students and of course lecturers. Okay, we need to provide training from local languages. You know, you have people in Santa Marta who don't really speak English that well. You know, Spanish is their first language, and so on. So, and also need to look at local issues. You know, and so this is among the key important findings that we have. And we have to make a platform available to other IOC programs. So to cater for this, what the group decided was to establish a global academy, okay, the Ocean Teacher Global Academy. So the main idea of the Global Academy is to establish several regional training centers, not with how do you say, in different regions of the world with different languages, you know, speaking different languages. So, and these centers will be local, centric to the location itself. If we have a training in Malaysia, the lectures we hope to have to come from Malaysia, discussing issues from Malaysia. Similarly, if it's held in Africa and so on. So you have local issues with local people. And of course, when you have these trainings, everyone will come from the same region. They will better understand. And of course, they will build network within their own region. Okay, based on my experience holding these training sites, we have a lot of groups, you know, we established a lot of groups from our region to look at similar issues and so on. So this has been a very important, I think, achievement of the Ocean Teacher Program. So if we look at the Ocean Teacher Program itself, we currently have 9 regional training centers, basically in, okay, it's too small on the computer, in Colombia, Senegal, Kenya, Mozambique, India, and of course in Malaysia. And Ostende still hosts a lot of trainings in Ostende itself. So we're not saying that, you know, we're not forgetting Europe in a sense, okay? So these are the training centers. And of course, let's move forward. And of course, the second most important part of the Ocean Teacher Program is the e-learning platform. Okay, so this started earlier on in the Ocean Teacher Program, but with the Ocean Teacher Global Academy Program, all the lectures and everything will be on the Moodle platform, which is our e-learning platform. So all the material that has been taught will be on the platform. Okay, so if we have 5 for example, 5 tsunami courses, all 5 will be there. Okay, so participants will be able to go in and look at the material and and restudy it. For the courses for the last course we had in Malaysia, we had more than 100 applicants for 20 places. Okay, so we can't host everyone. But of course, I noticed that there are some people after the course, a lot of people could just log in to the location, log in. Everything's online. Some lectures are online. The material, the lectures are online. So you basically could self-learn on the platform itself. So I think this is another important way to move forward. The material will be there. You don't have to come to Malaysia to learn, but you could get the material online. And of course, emails are there. You could email the lectures and ask for information and so on. So that's another key important thing of the platform itself. Okay, statistics-wise, I think this was presented before. So if you notice, we have trained more than 2,600 people, but if you would also notice that there are 4,800 registered users, okay? So based on that itself, we say we have more than 2,000 people logging in who haven't even been to the courses, okay? So the material has been accessed from people who are not even being trained at these training courses. Okay, so over the years, we've been conducting more than 210 courses in English, Spanish, French, and also Portuguese. Okay, and of course, we achieved the ISO last year, I think, Learning Service Provider. Okay, so this, I think, is very important. It's important to, so we're basically doing, this is a professional course. It's not, an ad hoc material, everything's been done in proper order, I would say. Of course, how do we move? Okay, the Ocean Teacher, basically, we have a steering group meeting being conducted. Every year we have a meeting where all the regional training center heads come and meet. We look at the user requirement for each region. We have surveys going out. So each region will come back with what is required for that particular region. Looking at the budget, we will establish a training plan for the year. Okay, so this is done by the steering group meeting. Every year we have it on stand, I think last year in Brussels. Okay, and of course the OTGA Secretariat. First of all, I would like to thank the OTGA Secretariat because without them, I don't think this program will ever move. Okay, they've done a lot, even though they're not in the forefront, but I do like to thank Claudia and the team because I do believe without them, this program won't work. We could have all the steering meetings that we could, we would like, but without the people actually doing the hard grind, you won't have this program at all. So that's the steering group meeting. I'm not sure how many minutes I have. Okay. So of course, there are a lot of challenges. 5 minutes. Okay. So I have a 5-minute video at the end, so I'm going to rush a little bit. So of course, there are a lot of challenges. Imagine different countries have different rules, so some places, even transferring money will be a problem. Okay, languages, of course, and even the Ocean Teacher e-learning platform is not being used fully. It's being used, but not as much as we like. And not all RTCs has the necessary staff availability and so on to organize course. Many RTCs still relies on the secretariat to help out. And of course, we are in different time zones, so that's another issue. Okay, Of course, what are our achievement? I think the main one will be in December 2014. It was mentioned in the General Assembly that Ocean Teacher Program helped to train a lot of users in ocean data management and so on. So I won't read through everything. And of course, we received the ISO certification. I won't go through this. I think Ariel showed this. But of course, capacity development is in the middle, and the Ocean Teacher Program helps in most of the components. I will skip this one. Okay, I will skip this one too. This will be okay. But of course, the Ocean Teacher Program not only works within IODE, we also work with other IOC programs, and some of the programs are shown here, Harmful Algal Bloom, Marine Spatial Planning, and also the Tsunami Program. So I think we've held joint training sessions with them. Again, we don't only work within the IODE, within IOC, but we also work beyond IOC. So these are several programs that we have conducted training programs with. So basically joint trainings. Okay, so of course, if everyone wants to hold a training session, you could come to OTGA. Maybe we could discuss training in the future and so on. Okay, of course, the SDGs, we contribute to like 6 of the SDGs. I won't go through this one. Okay, so how about the future? How do we see us moving forward? And I think the project basically is ending at the end of this year. And we're proposing a new project for the next term. Okay, so should we expand network of RTCs? Maybe, yes. How do we move forward? Maybe it's a blended approach. Okay, maybe we should have specialized RTCs looking at different topics. Okay. Of course, we believe the Ocean Teacher Program is very important, especially in view of Agenda 2030 and also SDGs. Okay. Of course, it's very important for the UN Ocean Decade. You know, this is a key component of sustainable development. Digital revolution, the skills we need to achieve sustainable development. Okay, that's a key thing. Maybe in the end, we should deliver one SDG Academy or something like that. Okay, that's, it's something I'm opening up for discussion. I think we have video. Can you help me out? So basically, the video will show a little bit of the OT activities of the Ocean Teacher Program.
So this is a video that was produced last year for Ocean Teacher.
Thank you very much, Adi. And I would like to invite Ms. Paula Sierra. She will give us a presentation on the development of a clearinghouse mechanism for the transfer of marine technology.
Okay. Good afternoon. And thanks for Japan and IOC for this conference. It's a good meeting, and also for the opportunity to share the advances in the clearinghouse mechanism for transfer of marine technology. First of all, as you know, the capacity development is the Ariel Troisi and also Ari told about this. And in this sense, I say that the opportunity to midterm since 2014 and 2021, and its outputs related is in the corner, is 6 outputs, is basically in the infrastructure, also in the visibility and human resource and requirements for information and others. And CHM clearinghouse mechanism is aligned with these potential outputs. And also the outputs contribute to large, to implement the guidelines for implementation of TMT, as defined in 2005. And IOC Assembly in 2017 recommend to establish the TMT-CHM and use to the largest extent possible existing data and information system that already exists at IOC, but not only those. If we have other sources and are accessible, we also include in this mechanism. On the other hand, the marine technology defined as you see here, the instruments, equipments, vessels, process, and methodologies required to pursue and use knowledge to improve the study and understanding of the nature and resource of the areas and in coastal and marine areas. We use this transfer of marine technology to include among others, the information and data in a user-friendly format, and also from the marine science and related marine operations. In the CHM and the clearinghouse mechanism, we try to include all of these items in green marks. We have the experts and specialist system, the source and availability and cost, and the data and information. We already work on it, and we are still working in the marks that is in gray color, and I need to move forward to the donors and also to the rules, regulations, and case law studies in order to use and to put in the open source data. And now we try to use the CMA2, is the Caribbean Marine Atlas, as the Ariel Troisi said in this morning, is in the IO-Caribe area. And we try to put the indicators and also the geographical information for the integrated coastal zone management and also for the marine spatial planning. And we invite you to see our poster for information in detail about the Caribbean Marine Atlas. It's the number 17. And here we try to put that where is the reason a clearinghouse mechanism, and we try to provide interested users in member states with direct and rapid access to relevant source of information and practical expertise in the transfer of marine technology, as well as to facilitate effective scientific, technical, and financial cooperation to that end. It's that they say the criteria and guidelines to transfer marine technology. The vision of the CHM, we try to become the primary information repository to support the international conventions and agreements, and at the same time provide a platform to share information, build partnerships, and for collaboration for the growth and transfer of marine technology in the developing countries mainly. Is the IOC Assembly 2017 this kind of issues. Also, who are the users for CHM? Now we try to go to the prototype for Latin American and the Caribbean, and we try to identify some of our users. It's the practitioners, the providers of information for the region, also the international and intergovernmental organization, non-state actors, including private and public sectors, and international non-government organizations. Also the regional organization and the national and research centers at the national level. The role of the CHM is to support with the rapid access to relevant source of the information, and also to practical experience in this prototype. The thematic areas that we identify from now, it's mainly in literature. We are using the Ocean Expert and Ocean Docs information, the information of people and institutions that comes from Ocean Expert, the training and education opportunities. We try to use the Ocean Teacher e-learning platform, of course. The Research Bells databases is now available from IOCaribe for the region, for the Latin American and the Caribbean region. Also manuals and guidelines and IOC country profiles and geospatial information. And we try to use this kind of sources from, I say, Ocean Expert, Ocean Docs, Ocean Best Practices, ODISCAT, IOCaribe, Ocean Teacher e-learning platform, among others. The platform architecture is now like this one. We have data sources, and we use the web scraping engine and try to harvest in the engine, develop these topics in our platform, and we select the Mongo database because it's use the information from the different kind of sources in the documents area, and the language is SQL. And also we try to put CHM LAC portal, not only for the computers, but also for the devices, but for mobile devices. And we try to generate an API web services because we want to get the information from different sources, but also to provide a new information that we work with these kind of products. Also, we work in the interoperability and the accessibility. The web design for the portal looks like this. It's now under construction. We have this main page when we try to enter in the demo. And we put for now the Ocean Expert information come from the Ocean Expert, the documents that we harvesting for different sources in the region. The training, we try to put all the information about the bachelor's, master's, and PhD program, but also in the non-formal education, that is the courses in Regional Training Center and the other universities in the region. Also, we get information from the laboratories and research centers in the Caribbean and in the Pacific area in the Latin American, and also we try to put some geographic platforms, not only from the region, but also from the global part, but we get the information for the region. The web design is now like this in the different kind of issues. For example, in Ocean Expert, we looks like this, and if you want to view more, you click in the view more and go to the Ocean Expert. It's mainly the system of systems is the architecture. And the state of implementation of this prototype is, as Ariel Troisi said, we try to get a demonstration for March for the capacity development meeting. And we have those bullets, and we work mainly in the first four bullets in architecture, in developing the web scraping engine, developing the harvesting engine, and also the data model. And the next steps is publish online beta version, the administration interfaces, the discover and harvest new data source for thematic issues, the design and validate the statistics reports and interface, and also validate the pilot project with the capacity development TMT task teams that are now constituted. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Paula. And I would like to invite Taco Debrin, who will be moderating, and the speakers ID. And Paula, please, if you can come back to the podium. And Taco.
Yes, can invite. Oh, they're already there. Chairs are there. So, any questions for the three speakers for today? If no questions, then I have a. Oh, sorry, Hernan, please. Oh, okay, great.
Hello, Pauline Simpson of Ocean Best Practices. This is not a very deep question, but one of the things when you're actually designing a new product, a new information product, which this is finding the right name for it. And I have a feeling that what I saw up there, this is going to be called Ocean Finder. Is that correct? Okay, and we don't want to get into a deep discussion on this, but does that really respond to what TMT is all about? Does that name imply what TMT is all about? I'm sorry, this isn't a very serious question, but funnily enough, naming a product is sometimes very important.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Pauline. And we try to get the information from different ocean data portals, and the Ocean Finder is from now one of the options that we evaluate, and we try to put most of the information now in one portal that we get from the different portals that I say it is the system of systems, and we use the data available. It's now the discussions in the group that are working with the TMT and CHM mechanism.
Thank you. Hernan?
Thank you. First, let me say that I would like to pass praise for the amount of extraordinary work that it takes to, carry all these activities. It's not unappreciated in any way. I was wondering if there is a way to increase the return on investment and the appreciation for what the work that you guys do. For example, as a result of these activities, you have alluded that so many participants have, taken advantage of the courses, and which is awesome. But I was wondering if there is a way to say, as a result of these courses, a country X or a region Y, so on and so forth, has been able to satisfy this data gap or this technology gap. I was wondering if there is a way to capture that in order to enhance the value of these services.
I have a good example, but actually one of our participants, when she went back to her country, she established the national data center there. So, and she's been communicating with me, and actually she came like 3 courses at UMT, at my education center in Malaysia, just to adding her knowledge and so on. I think that's one of the output. I think that's something that we really want to achieve, so that when they go back home, they could establish something in their own countries. Of course, some participants are early career lecturers too. Okay, so they're building up maybe their programs in the university and so on. But there was one particular person who went back to her country and then established. She was in charge of that. So that's something that we think is, for us, is quite big. Maybe.
Yeah, building on what was said, I think of course, we can always do better. But I came up with another example, just the tsunami-ready communities, and that's based on capacity development and communication. And once you have one of this community being displayed as tsunami-ready, then the neighboring community is asking, why weren't we in the picture? So that's promoting this conscience, and that's part of this capacity development. Of course, we can do better in some other areas. This is just one example, and I see this as an ongoing exercise.
Just to add, I think maybe it's an issue of promoting the program itself. Within the scientific community, I think people know the Ocean Teacher Program and so on within IOC, but sometimes the local government might not know about it. I think maybe we could further, improve promotion of the, I'm not sure how do we do that, but of course, being LTC, we do promote the program itself within our own countries. So I think that's something that to make aware of others and so on. Especially when you request funding and so on. We do, like in our case, I get a lot of funding to help the program from our own university. So that's, they see the importance of this and so on.
Any more questions? If not, then I have a question. The Ocean Teacher Global Academy, IODE does a lot of capacity development, I was supposed to say right now, and development through the Ocean Teacher Academy. But the Ocean Teacher Academy itself is also a big asset of IODE, and it has developed its own capacity in these in providing courses and e-learning courses. And my question is, it's now, I would almost say, limited to oceanography, but the whole approach of the academy could also be used in other disciplines. And you see nowadays that, especially for data management and learning other disciplines about data management, probably the academy could also be used. Are there any thoughts on that within the steering group, for instance?
Okay, I think we are focused on oceanography, but of course, a lot of training courses are actually beyond oceanography too. Like we do have like research data management, and I think Claudia is more aware of the courses that are being held, which are not just within IOC, outside IOC, but I would say it's more ocean related in some way or another, but it could be, maybe Claudia could better answer the question, because she's more.
What I can add is Ocean Teacher, as it is now, is a tool that can be used to any ocean-related training, and that's what we would like to go ahead with. Therefore, not only, as we mentioned, as it started only as an IODE tool for training, but all other IOC programs and other partners and organizations that are working in ocean-related topics and specifically addressing the Sustainable Development Goals. If this
for
answers
example,
your question.
for the RTC in LAC, in Latin American and the Caribbean, we are working together with the other strategies like Ramsar with the wetlands and climate change issues in the region, and also with the other initiatives in MPAs, marine protected areas, and it's more than only the data and information that's IOD management, but we try to use both areas, the information and data management and sharing, and also to try to put the information into the necessities of the convention, for example, at the Latin American and Caribbean.
And I'll be very brief, Taco. Just one additional example. A little over a year ago, the Ocean Teacher platform was used in a training course jointly organized with DOALOS at UN on marine scientific research and the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. It was neither data nor information management, but we used Ocean Teacher as a platform for this training, this joint training. So it can go beyond, but one of the challenges for Ocean Teacher Global Academy is finding the contents. So we have the platform, can be used for many things, but then you have to build the contents for that training.
Yes, if I may add a little.
Final words for Claudia, please.
No, indeed, it is a challenge for us to find content providers. So if I may ask if there's anyone in the audience that is willing and has some free time to contribute as an instructor for Ocean Teacher in any specific topic, please contact us. And just since you brought up the marine scientific research DOALOS topic, let me take this opportunity to announce or to further announce that we have right now an open call for applications for that course to take place in Europe, in Ostend, mostly focused to the European audience and also North African countries. We've just extended the deadline for applications until 15th of March. So please, if you have anyone that you know that might be interested in attending that training course, applications are coming in now.
Thank you very much. Before I let you all off for the break, there are two announcements. One will be by Cindy, and the other one is that during the break, there are the posters, of course, and I invite you all to have a look at the posters. Probably the poster presenters will be at or near their poster, so please ask them the questions. And the posters are not only in the hall here next to the doors, but also behind this room. There is another room with posters, and I'll invite you all to have a look at the posters. Cindy, please.
Thank you. That was one of my announcements. The other, in addition to the posters, remember the live demos are going on too. So we've earned another tea break. Good for us. I also have had several people ask me about the reception this evening. There will be vegetarian options. It's not dinner, it's a reception with some cocktails, but there will be some vegetarian options. So I hope everyone can join us for that. So please be back in this room by 20 minutes after the hour. And then before I let you go, Kirsten Eisenseek, could you see me, Claudia, and Sergey Belov? Are you still in the room? Sergey? Yes, could you come up and talk to me? We're going to adjust the next session timing a little bit. Okay, everybody, go have your break and be back here at 20 after. Thank you.